Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. I love it when I find a project that is so simple but really looks awesome and you can adapt it to any sort of occasion. Today we're going to make these masked greeting cards. We're going to use some fun techniques and products and stamps from our sponsor, Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find them online at pegstamps.com. I have a little dish with a baby wipe in it. This is how I like to keep my peg stamps while I'm stamping, because then I can just kind of dab them in there to clean them. So it's really handy. I highly recommend doing that, just with a little dish whenever you're working. Make sure you check out the coupon code in the video description so that you can save some money on your order. And I want to show you how I did this. So you can use whatever inks you have. I recommend a dye ink just because it dries quicker and it's going to absorb into the paper. We don't want a bunch of wet ink sitting on top of our masking fluid. Masking fluid is a product that watercolorists use. It's kind of like a rubber cement. It's got a very, it's basically a liquid latex. And you probably have this if you do a lot of watercoloring. If not, you can try rubber cement, but you can get a small container of this at the art store. Get the smallest bottle you can, because I've had this one for like 10 years. I broke the lid. I'm still keeping it. It takes a long time to use this up, so don't get a big bottle of it. I'm working on Bristol board just because it's a little bit more durable than cardstock. You can also use smooth watercolor paper, and truth be told, you probably can use a high quality cardstock as long as it has a good sizing on it. If it stamps well without feathering, it'll probably be good to use. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to find a brush that is going to be suitable for brush lettering. And I've already folded my card, so this is great because you can do one layer cards that are very frugal to make because it's just half a sheet of cardstock. And what you're going to want to do is take your brush and you're going to want to load it up with dish soap. And you could use bar soap, wet your brush and wipe it on a bar soap, but I love knowing that I am getting that dish soap all into my bristles. And I recommend using a brush with long bristles like this one here from Fab Art, because I can control how much of the brush gets masking fluid on it. I don't want the masking fluid to go up to the silver part, because masking fluid is nasty. If you don't put soap on your brush first, you're never going to get it clean again. So you really want to do that. I keep my masking fluid closed between uses because it will dry up. And I've previously shaken this. I actually wore half of it because the cap was broken. So you want to make sure it's stirred up really well. If you have a latex allergy, this is made with latex, so you probably don't want to use it. Instead, what you could do is you could draw the letters with glycerin and use clear embossing powder and make a resist that way, or use a stamp with resist ink. Either way, you can get this look another way. So be creative if you don't have this. So I'm loading that up, and it's quite a loose consistency. I'm going to do the word joy. So I am just going to I'm going to hold my brush straight up and down. I am going to do a big cursive J, and then I'm going to do the top part of the J. I got so much soap in there, actually. I could see the color of the Dawn soap. So there's my J. And you do want to make sure you have a decent amount on there. There's my O. I mean, you don't need to have too much, but you do need that barrier. This is making a barrier. Alright, so I have the word joy, and if I tip it, you can see it. And you can get masking fluid that's tinted. This is tinted yellow, but it's not very dark. It's still hard to see it. But you can get some of the blue or orange tint too. Different companies have different tints. And then I'm going to cap that off. I'm actually going to see if I can find a different bottle for this because I keep spilling it. And you want to let it dry until it looks transparent. It doesn't look milky anymore. And that would take probably about 30 minutes. Do not use a heat tool to speed this up, or you will burn it into the paper though. Okay, you've got to be patient. So here's one that I've already done. It's already dried, and you can see what it looks like. It's just kind of, any place where it would stick, it looks yellow, and everywhere else it's just kind of, you see that sheen if you hold it to the light. So if you don't see that sheen, you've probably put it on a little too thin. So this technique is really fun because it gives you a new way to use your peg stamps. So I've got 3 different colors here. I decided I wanted to keep it kind of like a little bit of a rainbow order, but you can use whatever colors you want. I don't think there's a bad combination really. I'm going to start with this big holly leaf, and I will link everything down below. This is a great way. You don't even have to use Christmas stamps. You have the word joy in there. People are going to know it's Christmas. And see, I'm going to stamp it, and I stamp it a few times to get off the extra ink, but that extra ink in the middle is actually going to be helping us build our design because we'll be able to see our white letters better. And you might not even want to use blending tools at all. You might have enough ink in there to just get by doing that. And you're really not wasting any ink, which I love. I love non-wasty projects. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to my next color, which is kind of a teal, and I think even though it's kind of silly because poinsettias are red, but I think that would be kind of cool to do this in teal because it's you've got a different type of shape. This is leafy, this is flowery. So I'm going to do that, stamp it off a couple times, stamp it off a couple times, stamp it off a couple times. Make sure I ink that up because I don't think I had that inked very well. And you could do one kind of up here so that you can really get that stamp on its own. Oh, right. I feel like I want to do maybe one more kind of over that tail. Maybe one more hanging low. There, so we're building up that color as we go across. The next one I think I'll use will be this, I like these pine cones. This is kind of fun. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to go with a little holly because I think I think the pine cones might look a little awkward. I'm going to do that in green. This is a nice bright green. Hopefully it's dark enough. We'll see. Oh, that's pretty. I almost forgot. It's like stamp, smash, 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 stamp, smash, smash, smash. I might use some pine cones over it though because these are pretty dainty. And you could always put like a sentiment down the side or write something else if you kind of didn't get it lined up perfectly like I did, but or stamp it out a little bit more. That's always an option. I like this little holly. I use this on a wreath. It's really pretty. And if I wanted to go in, I could actually go in with a darker color and do a darker green. I'd try to keep it with that kind of same colorway, and I could do a few pine cones. Especially in the center. Maybe where the colors meet a little bit. Just be careful when you're going like kind of outside everything that you get a really crisp image. I think the kind of more like flowy, abstract things look a little bit better. So at this point, I can just take the masking fluid off because I've got it covered pretty well, but if I'm just afraid that I might not have enough coverage there, I can take my little blending daubers. I tried the blending brushes, but I have to say, just the act of brushing back and forth kind of wanted to lift up my masking fluid. So I think you're better off pouncing straight up and down with a sponge rather than rubbing with a sponge or brushing, because you can rub up that masking fluid before you're ready to. The same thing in here with the teal. I start my pounces right on top of the masking fluid and just kind of radiate it out so I don't have any awkward lines. I just saw an old video where I was using these, and it was like 3 years ago, so I have been using these for 3 years. My little homemade dauber sponges. That's crazy, and they're still in great shape. I've only thrown away one. I've only had one that's kind of dried out and flaked on me. Now, the next thing I like to do is actually take like a paper towel or a tissue, and I like to press down because I want to take any ink off of the top of those words, because this has happened to me with watercoloring before. I've gone to rub off my masking tape, my masking fluid, and I've actually smeared paint off of that was on top of the masking fluid onto the white underneath. So you can see how I don't know if you can make that out, but you can kind of see a backwards joy on the paper towel. Maybe you can't, but I can faintly see it. So I just want to make sure that any excess ink isn't going to rub onto the white underneath. And the reason I recommend dye ink instead of pigment ink here is because it dries quicker, it absorbs into the paper better, and it's not likely to smudge when I go to rub this off. But for rubbing this off, honestly, your finger works pretty darn well. We could try rubbing it off with a paper towel. Oh, that works pretty good too. You just want to, I think I'm a little bit better rubbing it off with a finger because I'm just afraid that with a paper towel I might end up smearing ink, and I feel like I can just control and just rub where I want to rub with my finger. They also sell rubber cement pickups, which are like an eraser that just clings to this stuff and pulls it right up, but I can't find mine, so I gotta use my finger. It's It's great having all the wonderful tools, but if you can't find them, it doesn't do you any good. So this looks pretty cool, I think. Now, if you ended up with something that wasn't very sharp, like on this one, I didn't stir my masking fluid and it was really blobby, and so I ended up getting kind of chunky edges. So what I did was I went in with a marker and just cleaned it up. I really don't think this needs it, but I'll just show you how to do it just in case. Maybe I'll just put like a little shadow on this, just so I could show you. But you can go in, you can clean up any edges just by picking on ink that's pretty close to what you stamped in the background, or you can even like press this onto the ink pad and you could bring the ink over there. I figured I'll just do like a little shadow on this. Let me see if I have something that matches that. This is probably, oh, that's neat. Let's see, I don't know. I don't know if that's close enough. That is pretty bright, but maybe if I press it on my ink pad I can get a closer color. Yeah, that's pretty neon, but you get the idea. You can just kind of sharpen up your edges that way if you want to. A very quick and easy idea. It's a lot of fun, and it gets you looking at your peg stamps in a new way. And I think the more unique ways you can think of to create cards and to use the supplies you already have, the more versatile your collection becomes, and you always feel better when you spend your time creating, you spend your time doing something you love, and the more you use a product, it brings down the price per use, and then you just feel better about that too. I hope that you have fun making some holiday cards or making some birthday cards, because you could totally spell out somebody's name or love or happy birthday, or thank you or thanks or anything like that. So it's totally versatile. I hope you try it in your next card making session. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your crafty friends, and don't forget to check out our sponsor, Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find them online at pegstamps.com and have a look in the video description for this week's coupon code. Thanks so much for watching. Until next week, happy crafting.